What if the life you are waiting to enjoy is already happening? What if happiness is not in the future achievement, not in the next promotion, not in the next relationship, but hidden inside this very minute? Most people spend their lives preparing to live, but never truly living. Today, we change that. Most people are physically here, but mentally somewhere else. Their bodies sit in the room, but their minds replay yesterday's mistakes or rehearse tomorrow's fears. And in that divided state, they feel powerless, anxious, overwhelmed, disconnected. But the moment you return to the present, truly return, something shifts inside you. Your breathing slows, your thoughts clear, your heart steadies. Presence is not passive, it is powerful. When you fully enter the present moment, you step out of regret and out of fear. The past no longer chains you. The future no longer intimidates you. You stand in the only place where action is possible now. And now is where power lives. The present moment is where decisions are made. It is where discipline is chosen. It is where habits are built. It is where words are spoken that can heal or hurt. If you are not present, you surrender control to autopilot. You react instead of respond. You drift instead of direct. But when you become conscious of this moment, when you feel your heartbeat, when you notice your thoughts, when you intentionally choose your next action, you reclaim authority over your own life. Spiritually, presence is sacred. In many religious teachings, we are reminded that God is not distant in time. He is near. He is aware. He sees. He hears. He knows what is hidden in the hearts. To be present is to align yourself with that awareness. It is to remember that every second is witnessed. Every breath is a gift. Every moment is entrusted to you. When you live absent-mindedly, you waste what was divinely given. When you live consciously, you honor it. Think about it, how many moments have slipped through your fingers because your mind was somewhere else. Conversations with loved ones you barely heard. Opportunities you ignored. Prayers you rushed. Smiles you did not notice. Tears you did not understand. Presence awakens gratitude, and gratitude awakens strength. When you are fully present, small things feel big. A quiet morning feels like peace. A simple meal feels like provision. A conversation feels like connection. You begin to see blessings that were always there, hidden beneath distraction. Emotionally, presence heals. Anxiety feeds on the future. Depression feeds on the past. But peace lives in the present. When you anchor yourself in this second, just this breath, just this step, your mind stops racing and your soul finds stillness. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. You are not as powerless as you thought. You can choose your response. You can choose your focus. You can choose your attitude. That choice is power. When trials come, and they will, presence keeps you grounded. Instead of spiraling into, why is this happening to me? You ask, what can I do right now? Instead of collapsing under pressure, you take the next small step. Faith becomes practical in the present moment. You trust not in an imagined future, but in the strength given to you for today. You remember that you are guided, that your steps are known, that even challenges carry wisdom. And that awareness fills you with courage. Presence also deepens love. When you truly listen, when you look into someone's eyes without distraction, when you give your undivided attention, you make people feel seen. And to be seen is one of the deepest human needs. Presence turns ordinary relationships into meaningful bonds. Your children do not need a distracted parent. Your friends do not need half of you. Your dreams do not need a divided mind. They need your full presence. Power does not come from control over the world. It comes from control over your attention. And attention is a choice you make every second. The moment you enter fully into now, without running, without resisting, without escaping, you take back your life from worry, from regret, from distraction. You stop surviving. You start living. And in that conscious, sacred awareness, you feel strength rising quietly within you, steady and unshaken, because you are no longer scattered across time, but rooted firmly in the only moment where change is possible. There are people who have everything, yet feel nothing. And there are people who have very little, yet radiate peace. The difference is not possessions, it is perception. Gratitude is not a reaction to abundance, it is the cause of it. When you train your heart to appreciate what already exists, joy begins to multiply quietly within you. Most people chase happiness in big achievements. They wait for a breakthrough, a celebration, a milestone. But joy does not live only in grand moments. It hides in ordinary ones the warmth of sunlight, the voice of someone who cares, the simple ability to breathe without pain. The tragedy is not that life lacks blessings. The tragedy is that we overlook them. Appreciation changes that. When you pause and truly feel thankful for a small thing, your emotional state shifts. What was once routine becomes meaningful. What was once expected becomes precious. What was once ignored becomes sacred. Spiritually, gratitude is an act of humility. It is the recognition that you are not self-made, that your strength, your opportunities, your daily provisions, they are not accidents. They are gifts. And when you acknowledge a gift, you honor the giver. Many religious teachings remind us that when you are thankful, you are given more. Not always more possessions, but more peace, more clarity, more contentment. Gratitude expands your capacity to receive. A heart that complains closes itself. A heart that appreciates opens itself. And an open heart experiences life more deeply. Think of the days you woke up without pain and did not notice. The meals you ate without thanking the one who provided. The people who supported you without hearing your appreciation. These are not small oversights. They are missed opportunities for joy. Because joy grows where gratitude is planted. Emotionally, gratitude protects your mind. It shields you from envy. It weakens comparison. It quiets dissatisfaction. When you focus on what you have, you stop obsessing over what you lack. Gratitude does not deny challenges. It simply refuses to let challenges define the entire story. Even in hardship, there is something to appreciate. The lesson, the strength building within you, the resilience forming quietly under pressure. When you choose gratitude in difficulty, you transform suffering into growth, and that is powerful. Appreciation also deepens relationships. When you express thanks sincerely, specifically, you make others feel valued. A simple "I appreciate you" can heal insecurity. A moment of recognition can restore confidence. People bloom where they feel appreciated, and so do you. Gratitude multiplies joy because it multiplies awareness. It sharpens your vision to see beauty where others see routine. It slows you down enough to taste life instead of rushing through it. The same house becomes a home. The same meal becomes provision. The same day becomes a gift. And slowly, almost unexpectedly, you realize something life-changing. Nothing extraordinary needed to happen. You simply learned to see the ordinary differently. When you wake up thankful, your entire day carries a different tone. When you end the night reflecting on blessings instead of complaints, your heart rests lighter. When gratitude becomes a habit, joy becomes a companion, not because life became perfect, but because your perspective became powerful. Fear lies in the future. It whispers, "What if you fail?" It asks, "What if it doesn't work?" It repeats, "What will people say?" And slowly, that fear paralyzes action. But the moment you shift your focus from the outcome to the process, something powerful happens. Fear begins to lose its grip. When you become obsessed with results, you attach your identity to them. If you win, you feel worthy. If you lose, you feel defeated. Your peace rises and falls with circumstances you cannot fully control. But when you fall in love with the process, the daily effort, the discipline, the learning, the growth, your stability returns. The process is yours. The effort is yours. The improvement is yours. The result is influenced by many factors, but the process belongs to you. Spiritually, this mindset carries deep wisdom. We are taught that our responsibility is effort, not outcome. You are accountable for your intention, your sincerity, your consistency, not the final result, which rests in greater hands. When you understand that, anxiety softens. You stop trying to control what is beyond you and focus instead on what is entrusted to you today. You plant the seed, you water it, you nurture it, but the growth itself is not forced by worry. Loving the journey means finding satisfaction in showing up. It means valuing the early mornings when no one sees you working. It means respecting the small improvements that no one applauds. It means embracing mistakes as teachers rather than verdicts. Emotionally, this frees you. When you love the process, failure no longer destroys you, it instructs you. Delay no longer discourages you, it develops patience. Repetition no longer feels boring, it feels purposeful. You stop asking, will this pay off? And start asking, did I give my best today? That shift changes everything. Think about the athlete who trains daily, not just for the trophy, but for the strength built in practice. Think about the student who studies not only for grades, but for knowledge gained. Think about the believer who prays not only for answers, but for closeness and connection. The joy is not only in the reward, it is in the becoming. When your heart is attached only to results, every delay feels like rejection. Every obstacle feels like a sign to quit. But when your heart is committed to growth, obstacles feel like part of the design. Loving the journey creates resilience, because even if the outcome changes, you have still gained discipline. You have still gained character. You have still gained experience. Nothing is wasted. And there is something deeply spiritual about that. To walk faithfully without seeing the full picture. To work sincerely without guaranteed applause. To trust that every sincere effort carries meaning, even when the outcome is unclear. That kind of mindset produces peace. When you release obsession with results, your performance improves. Your mind becomes calm. Your focus sharpens. You act from purpose instead of pressure. You realize that fear of results was stealing the beauty of effort. So you begin to enjoy the repetition. You begin to value the struggle. You begin to respect the slow progress. Because you understand that the journey is not a delay of success, it is success in motion. And the one who loves the process walks forward without trembling, steady and confident, knowing that growth is guaranteed even when outcomes are not. Your mind is like a lens. Where you point it determines what you see, and what you see determines what you feel. Two people can walk through the same day and live two completely different emotional lives. One sees inconvenience, delay, and frustration. The other sees opportunity, lesson, and growth. The circumstances are identical. The focus is not. Attention is not random. It is directed. If you constantly focus on what is missing, your heart begins to feel empty. If you dwell on what went wrong, your spirit grows heavy. If you search for insult, you will always find it. If you look for problems, they will multiply in your awareness. But if you intentionally focus on progress, gratitude, and possibility, your emotional world transforms. This is not denial. It is discipline. Spiritually, attention is sacred. Many religious teachings remind us to guard the heart and mind because what enters your awareness eventually shapes your character. What you repeatedly think about settles into your belief system. What you believe begins to guide your actions. If your focus is constantly on fear, your faith weakens. If your focus is on blessings, your trust strengthens. The heart follows what the mind feeds it. Think about anxiety. It grows when attention lives in imagined futures. It feeds on what if. It magnifies scenarios that have not even happened. But the moment you shift your focus to what you can control right now, your breathing, your next step, your immediate responsibility, the anxiety begins to loosen. Your focus shrinks fear. Emotionally, attention is powerful because the brain amplifies what it repeatedly notices. If you replay criticism, it becomes louder than praise. If you replay failure, it overshadows success. But if you intentionally replay moments of strength, progress, and gratitude, your confidence begins to rise. You are not controlled by every thought that appears in your mind. You are controlled by the thoughts you entertain. That is a choice. When you wake up and immediately focus on problems, your day feels heavy before it even begins. When you wake up and focus on the gift of another chance, your energy shifts. The external world has not changed, your attention has. And that changes everything. Attention also shapes relationships. If you focus on someone's flaws, irritation grows. If you focus on their efforts and goodness, appreciation grows. The same person can feel like a burden or a blessing depending on what you choose to see. Where attention goes, emotion follows. This is why protecting your focus is essential. What you watch, what you listen to, what you repeatedly think about, all of it trains your emotional responses. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, comparison, and fear, your heart absorbs it. But if you intentionally fill your awareness with hope, wisdom, and truth, your spirit strengthens. Faith itself requires attention. When you remember divine mercy, guidance, and provision, your heart feels secure. When you forget and focus only on difficulty, despair tries to enter. The shift is not always in circumstances, it is in remembrance. Attention is the steering wheel of your inner life. You may not control every event, but you control where your mind rests within those events. You can choose to magnify the storm or anchor yourself in trust. You can choose to magnify the insult or focus on your dignity. You can choose to magnify delay or focus on preparation. Every focus is a decision, and every decision shapes your emotional experience. So if you want peace, focus on what is stable. If you want confidence, focus on growth. If you want gratitude, focus on provision. Because what you consistently give your attention to becomes the atmosphere of your life. And that atmosphere determines how you feel long before circumstances ever do. There is one thing every human being receives equally at the start of each day. 24 hours. No one is given more. No one is given less. And yet, by the end of a lifetime, some have built legacies, deep relationships, inner peace, and purpose, while others are left with regret and questions about where it all went. The difference was never time itself. It was how the minutes were invested. Time is more valuable than money because money can be regained. Time cannot. Once a minute passes, it disappears forever. It cannot be stored. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be relived. You are spending it whether you are conscious of it or not, and that realization should awaken something emotional inside you. Think about the hours lost to distraction, the days postponed with ill start tomorrow, the moments wasted in anger, comparison, or resentment. Those minutes felt small at the time, but together they shape an entire life. Time is not just ticking, it is forming you. Spiritually, time is a trust. It is a gift placed in your hands by the Creator. Every sunrise is permission to continue. Every breath is allowance to act. And one day, that allowance ends. This awareness is not meant to create fear, it is meant to create urgency with purpose. When you understand that your minutes are numbered, you begin to treat them differently. You become more intentional with your words, more careful with your energy, more focused on what truly matters. You stop wasting years chasing empty validation. You stop sacrificing peace for temporary applause. You stop delaying growth that your heart knows is necessary, because you realize that time does not pause while you hesitate. Emotionally, the thought that life is passing can be overwhelming, but it can also be empowering. If the past cannot be changed, the present becomes precious. If yesterday is gone, today becomes your opportunity. Every minute is a seed. Planted in learning, and knowledge grows. Planted in discipline, and strength grows. Planted in prayer, and faith grows. Planted in kindness, and love grows. But planted in distraction, and emptiness grows. A meaningful life is not built in giant leaps. It is built in small, repeated investments. 5 focused minutes of reading, 10 minutes of reflection, an hour of sincere effort, a moment of gratitude before sleep. These do not seem dramatic, but they compound. And compounding is powerful. The person who invests minutes wisely may not see immediate results, but over months and years, those small investments shape character, build competence, and deepen wisdom. The transformation feels sudden to others, but it was gradual in truth. Time also defines relationships. The people you love do not need grand speeches. They need your presence, your listening, your shared moments. A child grows while you are busy. A parent ages while you are distracted. Friendships weaken when neglected. Minutes given intentionally become memories that last forever. And one day, when life slows down, you will not remember every email sent or every minor achievement gained. You will remember conversations, growth, moments of sincerity, acts of faith, times when you chose courage instead of comfort. That is what makes a life meaningful. Not how long you lived, but how deeply you lived within the time given. If you treat time casually, life feels accidental. If you treat time intentionally, life feels purposeful. You do not need more years to change your future. You need better use of this minute, this very minute. because a meaningful life is never built someday. It is built now, one deliberate, sacred minute at a time. Most people pray for growth, but few are prepared for the discomfort that growth requires. We ask for strength, yet strength is born from resistance. We ask for patience, yet patience is formed through delay. We ask for wisdom, yet wisdom often comes wrapped in hardship. Growth does not always arrive with celebration. Sometimes it arrives disguised as struggle, and that is why so many miss it. When difficulty enters life, the immediate reaction is emotional. Fear, frustration, doubt. We question the moment. We ask why. We wish it away. But hidden beneath the surface of that very challenge is something powerful: transformation. Pain stretches you. Pressure refines you. Delay matures you. Spiritually, trials are never meaningless. They are not random punishments. They are often preparation. Many religious teachings remind us that hardship cleanses the heart, strengthens faith, and elevates character. What feels heavy today may be shaping the strength you will rely on tomorrow. There are lessons comfort cannot teach. Comfort rarely develops endurance. Ease rarely builds resilience. Luxury rarely produces depth. It is in moments of uncertainty that you learn to trust. It is in moments of weakness that you learn to depend on something greater than yourself. It is in moments of loss that you learn what truly matters. Emotionally, difficulty exposes you to yourself. It reveals your fears. It reveals your coping patterns. It reveals your level of discipline. And while that exposure can be uncomfortable, it is necessary. You cannot improve what you refuse to see. Growth hides inside awareness. Think about the times you felt broken, the nights you cried, the days you questioned your strength. Those moments may have felt like endings, but often they were beginnings. They were the moments that forced you to think differently, act differently, choose differently. Struggle interrupts complacency. It shakes you awake. It demands evolution. And though you may not appreciate it while you are inside it, one day you look back and realize that the very thing you wanted removed was the very thing that developed you. Even rejection carries value. It redirects you. Even failure carries value. It instructs you. Even delay carries value. It prepares you. Nothing is wasted when you choose to learn from it. Growth also requires humility, the willingness to admit you are still becoming. The courage to say, I am not finished. The faith to believe that even this painful chapter has purpose. When you adopt that mindset, difficulty stops feeling like a curse. It starts feeling like construction. You begin to ask different questions. Not why me, but what is this teaching me? Not when will this end, but who am I becoming through this? That shift changes everything. Every uncomfortable conversation strengthens communication. Every disciplined choice strengthens character. Every setback strengthens determination. The growth may not be visible immediately, but it is happening quietly within you. Like roots growing underground before the tree becomes visible. The storm does not destroy a tree with deep roots, it reveals the strength of its foundation, and so it is with you. Every moment, even the painful ones, is shaping your foundation. The key is not to escape difficulty at any cost. The key is to extract its value, to reflect, to adjust, to evolve. Because the person who understands that growth exists in every moment stops fearing hardship and starts recognizing it as part of a larger design, where nothing is accidental and every challenge carries within it the seeds of strength, maturity, and deeper faith waiting to unfold. Many people are searching for happiness as if it were hidden somewhere outside of them. They believe it is waiting in a future salary, a relationship, a perfect opportunity, or a change in circumstances. They say, when things improve, I will finally be happy. But life keeps moving. Circumstances keep shifting. And the happiness they are chasing keeps relocating. Because joy is not discovered by accident. It is chosen on purpose. Joy is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of perspective. It is not a reaction to perfection. It is a response to reality. It is the decision to rise above conditions instead of being controlled by them. When you believe happiness depends on events, you surrender your emotional stability to forces you cannot control. A single disappointment ruins your mood. A single criticism ruins your confidence. A single delay steals your peace. But when you understand that joy is a decision, You reclaim authority over your inner world. You may not control the weather, but you control your attitude. You may not control others, but you control your response. You may not control outcomes, but you control your mindset. That is power. Spiritually, joy is deeply connected to trust. When you trust that there is purpose behind your path, even the uncertain parts, your heart rests differently. Faith teaches that circumstances are temporary, but character is eternal. That trials refine rather than define. That every hardship carries unseen wisdom. When your heart is anchored in belief that you are guided, that you are supported, that your life has meaning, joy becomes a conscious act of trust. It becomes a declaration. I will not let temporary situations dictate my permanent spirit. Emotionally, choosing joy requires discipline. It means refusing to replay negative thoughts. It means interrupting complaint before it becomes habit. It means speaking gratitude when your emotions want to speak frustration. That choice is not always easy. Some days feel heavy. Some seasons feel unfair. Some losses cut deep. Choosing joy in those moments does not mean denying pain. It means deciding that pain will not own you. You can acknowledge hurt and still choose hope. You can face struggle and still choose gratitude. You can experience delay and still choose patience. Joy is not loud. It is steady. It is the quiet strength that says, I am still grateful. It is the calm voice that says, I am still hopeful. It is the firm resolve that says, I will keep moving. And when you practice this daily decision, something shifts inside you. Complaints decrease. Appreciation increases. Comparison weakens. Contentment strengthens. You begin to realize that happiness was never missing. It was waiting for your permission, waiting for you to stop postponing it, waiting for you to stop outsourcing it, waiting for you to claim it. Joy grows when you deliberately look for what is good, when you speak words that uplift, when you serve others, when you forgive, when you remember blessings instead of burdens. Every morning presents a choice. Every setback presents a choice. Every conversation presents a choice. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but you can choose the spirit with which you face it. And that decision, repeated consistently, transforms not just your mood, but your entire life direction, because the one who chooses joy walks differently, speaks differently, and lives differently, carrying within them a peace that circumstances cannot easily shake. Do not wait for life to become perfect before you allow yourself to enjoy it. This minute will never come again. Not tomorrow, not next year, not after success. Right now is the only place life exists. Learn to enjoy every minute, and you will discover that happiness was never ahead of you. It was walking beside you all along.